What's happening? Uh, man, last night I was watching this movie. It's called I think it was called Jinn, Jinn. Basically, genies. Uh, you think about how people cast these spells, right, in witchcraft, and it's like basically whatever you ask for is granted unto you. And what does the genies always say when you get them out the bottle? Thy master, what is thy bidding? So I mean, there's a correlation here. And I was thinking, I'm like, why come? How come Jesus never mentioned jinn? Maybe he did. What is a foul, unclean spirit? You know what I'm saying? Potentially did jinn fall in that class of being? I know it's also the spirit of the giants. I mean, and here's another thing. Some of these things were hybrid, so they weren't even fully human being. They were part animal or part something else. Totally all different altogether. We don't really totally know. Uh but and they also got the satyr, you know what I'm saying? These beings in dragons. They are mentioned, you know what I'm saying? So do these things have uh roaming spirits? You know what I'm saying? All right. So I remember hearing a story when I was a kid from a family member about an experience where there was a person who basically learned how to tap into some dark spiritual forces and could actually do something, a form of pyrokinesis, could conjure flame, and they said that the flame was dancing around above people's head. They were in a dark room, and the flame was moving around. Whether it was a spirit, but I could also see how you could trick someone and you could just do a crazy looking magic trick in the dark because and it would look like it was spirits, but maybe it wasn't. Or was it? Was it really just jinn? Where did the Indians, are there local jinn that are called by a different name, like the Prince of Persia and also the King of Tyre. The Prince of Persia is an archon, which means a chief commander of spiritual entities of angels, fallen angels, and even the spirits of the dead of the ancient. 10% of them were left and given by a gift to Satan by God. You know what I'm saying? For his purposes. Whatever his purposes is, it doesn't matter. These guys wouldn't even, they'd be already damned in hell if Satan didn't ask for them. You know what I'm saying? So, shows you even, that God is, he asks us to be merciful. I mean, and, then you look, and you see it even on the enemy of man is even shown a little bit for a time. And, here's there's locally in the Indian tradition, okay, there's something called a jibi or a jibug, uh, which read this in a book, but I've also heard it, and it's still in there, and there's undertones of it. But that means a spirit, or not a spirit, but it more like means a ghost, like a poltergeist, a ghost. That's a GB. Uh, but then there's something called a manitou or a manitou, uh, and that means a spirit. And a spirit could mean it could mean a bunch of different things. It could be like an archon, which is a kind of a angel. You know what I'm saying? It could be an angel. It could be a jinn. It could be something else. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because even if you listen to the descriptions of angels in the Bible, some of them have different kinds of faces, like different animal human mixes, and even they even look like rainbows and crystal and uh, fiery bronze and all these other descriptions. So we don't really know. And beings of light, continents like lightning, uh, things like that. So people with the ability to appear and no one else can see them but you. They can freeze time almost. I mean, angels have these crazy descriptions. And I go into the Indian, legends, and then supposedly, there's the great spirit, but then there's also a great spirit of evil the great spirit over like the spirits of things that like kill people, like water and fire, the elements. You know what I'm saying? Basically, the Lord of the elements, just the elements, and you could see that's probably your Satan with your alchemical. And the knowledge of the fallen was how to work metals and the elements. You know what I'm saying? It's just like this dude was talking about. Avoid arguments with people that use so-called science. You know what I'm saying? Because if you know about science and then you start looking into this occult magic and making of potions and things like this, it's just chemistry. It's just physics. And Paragathis is all just math, complex math, and sacred geometry, complex mathematics. It's the knowledge of the makeup of the universe, and I guess you know what I'm saying. And like the elements, and the things of the universe and things on the earth, and its understanding of this, and and they knew about this stuff since way back. It's because it was leaked to them by supernatural forces, which even goes to say how the Indians said they learned a lot of things from spirits. And then, like I said, spirits is a wide range category, which can go to angels and even God. Like God, their definition of God would be the Lord of all the spirits, which is exactly what Enoch calls God too. So, or the Lord of hosts as well. You know what I'm saying? I think Enoch also calls him, and I think that's mentioned in the Bible too. Man, dang, allergies coming out, but at least the weather's nice. But anyway, yeah. And I'm thinking, within the native culture, there may be references to jinn type things. Like they said that there were spirits that could come out of the rocks. You know what I'm saying? Like they lived in holes in the earth, in caves. Come here. And some come down from the sky, things like that. And there's sky people, like people did. You might say, they could also give you the ability to change shapes as far as legends go. You know what I'm saying? So strange stuff like that. And I'm thinking that, yeah, it's probably in it. And if it wasn't in it, well, then you couldn't trust it. Because these things are made reference to in all cultures and by different names. It's just like how Nimrod's mentioned across the world, but yet his name's different. You know what I'm saying? And all these angels are referenced across the globe, yet their name's different in each neck of the woods, which kind of keeps us thinking that it's incrementalism. I mean, the whole theosophistic Lucis Trust operation of the ascended masters and stuff, that works totally on incrementalism. Like, because if the whole secret doctrine and all this, even though I've never read none of this stuff, but I've seen documentaries about it, enough of them to know what it's about. I mean, so it all works through incrementally. I mean, even Albert Pike, until a person's a 33rd degree initiate, he cannot be told that he is worshiping Lucifer. So, I mean, they got to work you through this whole long thing before they can come out and even tell you what's going on. So, I mean, that's working off incrementalism. And this is the same way they keep us separated from the truth, is through incrementalism as well. Us over here who mean well, but they got to keep certain things separated that belong together. And then they got to put things together that don't belong together to keep you. And then they got to make you very educated on them things that are basically 2 + 2 = 5. You'll be an expert on 2 + 2 = 5. But anything 2 + 2 = 4 is heresy. You know what I'm saying? And I'm noticing too, also, now that they're going so digitalized with all this history, they could do a digital burning of the books like that. Over, gone, history erased. You know what I'm saying? And they could. It seems like they're trying to do something like this on purpose. You know what I'm saying? So, and even all this stuff, like I'm telling you here, this should be, this should be History Channel episodes or National Geographic or something that should just explain these type of things, and this should just be common knowledge to everyone. But instead, it's the Magician Act. Let's keep you watching the same people week after week, dancing the same old tune, doing the same old ritual. And you know what I'm saying? You're too busy doing that. You know what I'm saying? To even, I don't even know what's going on History Channel anymore because I got other areas to cover now. But it's just, yeah, these things are kind of important, man. It's just kind of funny, man. I watched that movie Jinn last night. I've been talking about the Jinn for about a year. And now all of a sudden I'm starting to see it, take some traction. Like people are starting to wake up to that. It's just it's you can't say that it's not possible. It might be already explained, but yet we just didn't have the accurate interpretation of certain words to understand their full context. Kind of like the difference between Nephilim, Gibborim, and Rephaim. These are three classes of kind of like hybrids, or Nephilim is the original fallen angels, the fathers of all these things. But it also can just mean to Nephil, or it just means to fall, fallen. So even us men, can become fallen just through, I guess our evil, wicked imaginations can turn us into creatures, I guess, and that's like even Nimrod. He wasn't born Gibborim; he became Az. So he did something. He altered himself. He augmented. He did some kind of ancient transhumanistic. Maybe he was drinking blood. He became a vampire. I mean, even Raphaim means the dead, and it could mean vampire. And I think even someone told me that in Hebrew, in Ezekiel, where it's talking about when it says the generation sharp as knives, they will eat the blood, or the children will eat the old, and the old will eat the young. Consume. It sounds like it's talking about vampires right there, dude, and vampiristic things. I mean, and there's just a whole bunch of crazy stuff. Just kind of almost like the ancient spirits. They can inhabit people, and they want blood. It's all about bloodlust. You know what I'm saying? So there is some credit or some merit to all these concepts of giants, of hybrids, men of renown, spirits. And here's another thing I thought about Hiawatha, the book. I read an alternate, kind of like someone's take on the book, and they said the reason it received such bad reviews is because during the time when it was wrote, that Longfellow was being too sympathetic to the Indian, and he was kind of romanticizing and was portraying this character as the noble savage. And during the time of eugenics, when this was getting traction in the world through Darwin, in the social Darwinism, assisted evolution, they didn't want no romanticizing of these lesser mongrels. You know what I'm saying? These monkeys. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that probably is to some extent probably the real answer, because I'm like, that book, even though I don't take it as historical accurate, it's legend and tales, and even a man's interpretations of legends and tales. But some of the stuff in there is relevant in context to the time period, and in how it is utter obscurity, some of these things about it. So, but yeah, they're cool. And it talked about, Hiawatha had to go out and slay all the wicked magicians he came across. So I guess it's just like in the Bible, where it's like, listen, if you catch a person necromancing or doing peeping as a wizard, you're supposed to kill him, because there is no nice wizard. There is no good vampires. You know what I'm saying? There is no friendly demon. They're all out to devour you, whether it's your soul, your blood, something they want to devour. So, in the good ones don't want none of that. It's just the bad ones that want to devour. And there is the good and there is the bad ones.